Well, we're very excited to play Missouri. Man, are they playing well. And big physical team. We got a really good quarterback, really good running back. Wideouts. I love their offensive line, very physical. And then you go on the defense, and they got some guys now over there on the D line. And I was at Georgia and had the opportunity to play Missouri every year, and they always give you fits on the defensive line. And of course, Nick Bolton is, in my opinion, as good a linebacker as is in the SEC. So they're hot right now, and very, very well coached by Coach Drinkwitz and his staff. We're excited to get to Columbia, however.
First question is from Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hi, Sam. This rivalry isn't very old, but listening to Eli yesterday, sounds like he thinks all the connections on the teams could lead to some, more bigger games in the rivalry. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are and what the motivation for getting that trophy in your trophy case is this year.
Well, it's a crossover. It's our crossover game every year, so it has to be. It has to be our rivalry game. I mean, it's a game that's on. We play an Eastern opponent, and we play them every year. So certainly, it's also a trophy game, and it had been a strong rivalry over the last 4 years, but certainly because we recruit against each other, we're proximity is close, things of that nature. The kids on both teams will certainly know each other. That would, to me, that would equal being a strong rivalry game.
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on Rakeem Boyd's decision to opt out and kind of what the tailback situation looks like. Can you add Dominic Johnson this week?
Well, the tailback situation looks exactly like it did last against LSU. With adding Dominique Johnson. So Traylon Smith will be our starting tailback, and you have Hammond, TJ Hammond, and you have Dominique, and you have Buckner. And the thoughts on Rakeem, he opted out. So opting out means that you're concerned about the COVID virus, and because of those concerns, he opted out.
Next question is from Dave Matter of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hey, Sam, I know your year at Missouri wasn't long, but does anything stick out, your memory, memorable or unique about that you're coaching under Coach Smith here in Columbia?
There was a place called Chevy's that I ate at a lot. Mexican restaurant. That stood out. Yeah, I could put some weight on there in Missouri. Coach Smith was rest his soul, was such a wonderful guy and a great motivator. And I tell you, I coached high school ball at Trenton and Princeton, Missouri, and I was just so elated to go to Missouri, and certainly didn't last as long as we wanted it to, but I loved the kids there. I had a really good special group of offensive linemen there, and then the coaching staff there that I was able to work with was outstanding. So, I love Missouri. Obviously I spent some time there as a high school coach, and I'm a big fan of the University of Missouri. I'm the head coach at Arkansas. I think Eli said it yesterday. He's the head coach at Missouri. He's from Arkansas, and I'm the head coach of Arkansas. So obviously, neither one of us have a problem with getting our teams prepared for the game. But very, very fond memories of the University of Missouri and the state of Missouri.
Thanks, Dan.
Next question is from Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. You mentioned it last week and even heard in the press conference earlier this week about really doing a lot of film study on Missouri, and it's fair to say that you know this team pretty well after studying them up. Is this the most film work you've done on any given team before a game, Coach?
Well, we've had more time, obviously we were prepared to play them last week as they were on us, and certainly that wasn't able to happen. So, yeah, I think just by the days and the time and those things, we certainly have put a lot of hours in trying to prepare and trying to familiarize ourselves with what Missouri does, what they like to do, their tendencies, and their players. So it has been, a lot of it's been simply because we had a little bit more downtime, obviously, over the Thanksgiving break. We had a little bit of downtime, and therefore we had a little bit more time to watch film.
And last Wednesday, I heard you say that you started that prep on Alabama. Are you expecting to play Alabama next weekend, Coach? And I'm just, if I could get a thought or two about Alabama since you've seen them on film, Coach.
Well, they're incredible. I mean, man, they got a good offensive line. I mean, really good offensive line. And, they got a Heisman candidate quarterback, and wideouts. They're Alabama. But I can't remember your other question. I'm sorry.
Are you expecting to play them next weekend?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're it'd be our last game, and I let's say this: I have no reason to believe that we're not playing them. I have not heard one conversation that would say that we would play Alabama.
And if I also heard you right, Coach, you're also wanting to go bowling. Do you think this team has deserved a bowl trip?
Absolutely. I mean, the world's full of arguments and this, that, and the other, but most seasons when you win 3 SEC football games and you're scheduled prior to that 4 football games, most seasons when you win 3 in SEC, that equals usually somewhere around 5, 6, or 7, and you go to a bowl. And do I think we've earned the right to do that? Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question is from Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Sam. How you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Mizzou's obviously got some players from Arkansas that Barry recruited there, like Barrett Bannister and Akil Byers and Markel Utse. I hope I'm saying his name right. What do you thought of those guys? And you'd figure, kind of like your kids from Texas getting maybe a little extra fire to play A&M or whatever. Do you think maybe they'll be fired up for this game, a little extra fired up?
Well, I would imagine so, simply because they're, they want to perform well from the state that they're playing us, and they come from Arkansas, and certainly we have some kids on our team from Missouri and those things. But the bottom line is that you're playing an SEC opponent. You always want to play well. You always want to represent your university well. And there may be some extra incentive there from both teams. But the bottom line is after the first hit of the first whistle, then you're just playing an SEC football game at that point.
And I saw you tweet about your new jukebox. Have you tried that out yet? Did they get you a good model, or what you think about that?
Oh yeah, it's a super model, and it's a Rockola and a Rockola Fireball, and it plays CDs, and absolutely, the music's jamming around here.
Okay, you've already tried it out.
Oh yeah, I'm not just going to let it sit there.
Okay, thanks.
That's all the time for today. Coach, thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Yeah, excited for Rivalry Week. Excited for Senior Week to honor our seniors who've done an excellent job of helping us through the coaching transition and through this COVID process. And excited for our game Saturday. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
question is from Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Eli, I wonder what your thoughts are on the Arkansas tailback situation. No Rakeem Boyd, and what do you think of the spot in the Arkansas run game?
Well, I think they've actually done a really nice job running the football. I think Coach Browse does a good job of mixing it up, utilizing his RPOs as well as his called runs that set up some of his explosive pass game. I think they're very capable of that position. I don't have 22's been an outstanding back for him all season. So, he had the 80-yard run against Florida. So I think they're going to be just fine.
The more I study this game, the more I see kind of a comparison between Grant Morgan, 31, their middle linebacker, and your Nick Bolton. I'm wondering what you see out of Nick, what's made him a successful player, and also on Morgan.
Yeah, I think they're both tremendous linebackers. They both make a lot of tackles, and you can tell the leaders of the defense on both sides of the ball. Nick, I think I'm so impressed with his life off the football field as much as I am with his life on the football field. He shows up early, works out all the time. He's got a 3.4 GPA. Just does everything the right way. Got great manners. His parents have obviously raised him the right way, and I think the same can be said for Grant. Obviously knew Grant from my time recruiting his brother Drew when I was at Arkansas State, and he's just got great work ethic. You can tell it matters to him. I think the most impressive thing about Grant is when he makes a tackle, he runs back to get lined up on defense, and it's very rare to see that. So always impressed with his hustle and work ethic, and he's going to be a tough one to go against.
Thanks, man.
Next question is from Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well today.
Yes, sir.
From a recruiting standpoint, with signing day coming up, at least the early signees, how's the class kind of shaping up in your eyes, Coach?
Yeah, I think we've got a really solid class. I think we've done an excellent job of identifying who we want and have had them for a long time. We've got a couple of pieces that we're trying to put, finishing touches on, and it's going to be a battle. We don't feel pressured to necessarily have to fill every one of those slots just because of the way that some of the seniors that are going to be coming back. But it has been, an interesting thing to have to deal with it online and through Zooms. And I think the next 14 days are going to be extremely challenging, trying to juggle recruiting, game planning, finals, and all the other things that are required to coach football.
And you mentioned Coach Briles. I'm curious from an offensive philosophy standpoint, how often do you maybe communicate with Coach Briles in the offseason, and what do you think of the offensive style that he has there at Arkansas, Coach?
Yeah, I don't know Coach Briles personally. I met him one time, so don't have much of an interaction with him. No, I haven't never talked ball with him. I think he's got a good philosophy. Obviously, he knows and believes in it, and it's a good offense.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem.
Next question is from Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Eli, how you doing?
Great. How are you, Bob?
I'm good. Hey, Rick Jones. I guess you must know him pretty well to get him on your staff. What's your all's relationship like, and was it hard getting him to leave the job he had because he'd had so much success in Arkansas?
Rick's just a guy that I've had a tremendous amount of respect for a long time. I remember coming out of college, me and Kevin Heslin. Kevin was my high school football position coach and was the assistant principal at Greenwood at the time. Took me to introduce me to Coach Jones, and just had a connection there, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And it was somebody that I knew if I got into a position that was able to create maybe a senior assistant to the head coach, a guy who can bounce ideas off of, a guy who you can ask him to do special projects and see a game through a different sort of viewpoint. So that's what he does. I don't know how difficult it was. Rick's a pretty straightforward guy. If his mind's set on something, he's going to do it. And if it's not, you're not going to convince him otherwise. So this was an opportunity I think he wanted to get into college football, and we were sure glad it worked out.
How's he been, specifically, how's he been an asset to you?
Yeah, I mean, just a guy that I can lean on, talk to, ask him advice. How would he handle this situation? Has he ever encountered this before? He's a guy that handles a lot of our analytics and in-game, situational. Hey, think about this. This is the timeouts and all that kind of stuff. So he's been an asset for sure.
Thanks.
Next question is from Scotty Bordelon of Whole Hog Sports.
Hey, Coach, I'm wondering what you thought of the impact Felipe Franks has had on Arkansas's offense and what has stood out to you about his play to this point.
I don't really have a basis of comparison because I wasn't around what they have done in the past at that position there. But, when you watch the tape, you see a guy who obviously has a command of the offense, who gets him in the right situation, makes the right decisions, does a really nice job of adding an extra dimension to the offense with his feet, is throwing accurate balls down the field, putting them in tight windows in their RPOs, and he's a tremendous challenge to contain. I said yesterday or whatever day that I felt like he was playing as good as anybody in the SEC except for maybe Mac and Kyle Trask, but I mean, he's right up there and definitely impressed and going to have our hands full because of the weapons that he has at the wide receiver position. Obviously, they got the run game going, and then the weapon that he is using his feet.
Appreciate it.
To ask a question for Coach Drinkwitz, press *1. That's all the questions for today, Coach. Thank you.
Sounds good.